And I made a note here when we fast, to not fast just for ourselves. We will fast from foods and different things, but when we're fasting, we're fasting to honor the Lord God. We're fasting because it's a commandment that He's given us. We are to fast. I don't think that we as believers should, go a year without fasting or several years without fasting. I just don't think that we should, because we need to fast. There's so many benefits to fasting, and we're going to cover those. But that we should fast, for the purposes of a nation. Nehemiah fasted for a nation, the nation of Israel. If something is broken, like the walls of Israel, they were broken. He didn't fast just for a people. He fasted for a city. He fasted for the walls, everything associated with that. So just want us to bear in mind that when we're fasting, we can in fact fast for a nation, for family members, not just ourselves and what we can get out of it. We can fast for a community. We could take Nehemiah's example. We could fast for marriage, family, community, nations. Fast for our ministry. Fast for our businesses. All right? But, the key is not to fast just for ourselves. Fasting helps to build our faith as well. The more we fast, the stronger we become in the things of the Lord and the things pertaining to the Lord. And, use the word Apostle Keener. And it helps, it gives us a keen sense of who the Lord is and who we are. Because if we have a keen sense of who God is, then He's going to reveal Himself to us. But He's also going to reveal things to us that may be hindering us. And so we can begin working on that. When those things, when He begins to remove those things by revealing them, and then we begin working on them, we get to hear Him clearer. We get to see Him clear. All right. One of the things that I also suggest is that when we fast, we don't fast out of obligation. There's no point in fasting. We fast because God wants us to fast, expects us to fast. But if we're like, oh, I gotta fast, why bother? Why bother? We fast because that's what He's asking us to do. We fast out of love. You're asking me to do this. I want to do this. And we fast with an expectation. He's going to hear us. We fast with an expectation that we're going to draw closer to Him. I mean, we don't want to go into a fast and, well, what's the use? He doesn't hear me anyway. What's the use? I come out the same anyway. Could it be that we come out of a fast the same because we haven't done certain things and certain disciplines within the fast that would bring about that change? Could it be the same way we went in is the same way we stayed, and that's why at the end of the fast, when we got out of the fast, we find ourselves the same? But when we go into a fast, with this expectation, God hears me, and I know that as a result of this, I am going to be a better person. He's going to deal with something in my life, or maybe He's going to deal with a nation that needs favorable dealings. We want to see revival, or like Nehemiah. What Nehemiah did was, whether we think about it this way or not, God used him to bring beauty out of the ashes. He used him to bring joy out of a situation that was joyless, to bring dignity, honor, and respect to a people to a people and to a nation that was being dishonored, disrespected, and was in reproach. And so God can use us that way as well. And so my point in all of this, maybe we have a family member that God is calling us to fast for them. Maybe they're right there. They're right on the straddling that fence between leaving their lifestyle and following the Lord. And it could take a push in either direction, and God could call us to fast for that individual. It's very powerful. We don't want to underestimate the power of fasting with prayer and with worship. All right? And we touched on this briefly. Well, let me go back. So fasting out of love and recognizing that God is the one that's instructing us to fast. And to do it with gladness and joy, and not like the Pharisees of old, where their countenance and everything about them was letting the people know how great they are because they're fasting. And so as we fast, we should fast in secret. Okay? We fast to honor God, but God will honor our fast as well. Fasting, we talked about briefly again, it's another form of sacrifice. But here's the thing, even though it's a form of sacrifice, the sacrifice is not to take place of the things that God has called us to do. So what do I mean by that? We're not just going to fast and do nothing. Fast requires an action with it. Fast requires that we be obedient, not only to the fast, but obedient to pray, obedient to worship, obedient to spend time in the Word and to meditate on the Word. All right? So those are all, those are some of the things, and not all of the things. Some of the things pertain to the fast, but the fast is sacrifice. But our sacrifice should not override or overrule obedience to God. Our obedience, when He calls us to fast and we obey Him, that is the obedience, and through that we sacrifice. But if we sacrifice and there's no obedience, He would rather have our obedience over the sacrifice any day. And oftentimes people are sacrificing things, but they're not being obedient to the Lord. So what's the sense in sacrificing when there's no obedience? So obedience and sacrifice go hand in hand, but we should never put sacrifice above obedience. The other thing to keep in mind is that fasting is a way of living for a Christian. And we're talking about a Christian fast, right? It's a way of living. It should be part of our lives. It should be part of our lifestyle. It shouldn't be just the thing that we do at the beginning of the year and then we don't do it the rest of the year. It's the thing that we do at the beginning of the year, and then we listen for the Lord throughout the rest of the year to determine what are the other times that He wants us to fast. But every fast should contain scripture reading, scripture meditation, worship, prayer. Okay, those should not be neglected during a fast. I believe if they're neglected, then really you can just say that you're dieting. Dieting doesn't worldly dieting does not require prayer. They might look for encouragement and inspiration, but it doesn't require prayer. But if we're fasting according to the Lord, it does require prayer, and it does require that we're in the Word. Fasting also brings about greater spiritual awareness, and we've touched down on that at different times throughout this teaching, right? And so it brings a greater spiritual awareness, and that's what we want. We want to fast to be more aware of spiritual things. Remember, in the book of John, chapter 4, I believe it was verse 24, the word tells us that he's looking for those who will worship him in what? In spirit and in truth. But before that, it says, God is spirit. And so when we fast for spiritual awareness, we are fasting to, prayerfully, right? We're fasting to be able to gain a greater understanding of our Father who is spirit, to come into a greater awareness of our Father who is spirit, so that we can worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, the other thing to keep in mind throughout the fast, which is really important, which gets away from us, and I really do mean it gets away from us, and that's rest. And so there are different forms of resting throughout the fast. And so it's real important that we rest during the fast. One of the ways that we can rest during the fast is to make sure that we're getting plenty of sleep. And when you think about the beginning of the year, and you think about the fast, and you think the fast is great and everything else, but then what happens? We get caught up in life. We get caught up in ministry. We get caught up in business, and we get caught up in such a way that we end up working harder and harder and harder, working more, putting in more hours, and there's such a demand on us that we find it really difficult to take that time to walk away for even if it's for a day. Well, we should have a day in there anyway, but even if it's for 2 days, but we have to have that rest. And if we're in turmoil about the rest, then ask God, help me. Like, how do I do this rest thing that I know is an integral part of this fasting? Think about what fasting is. And if I'm fasting, but I'm constantly on the go, how do I hear what God is saying to me? How can I hear? How can I be still? How can I be still? How can I know that he is God? How can I know what he's wanting to tell me? What he's trying to tell me? I might catch a fleeting moment, right? As I'm running past him, I might get wind of something he's saying, but he wants me to what? Not just capture it in the moment, but once I capture it, okay, what else? Let's go a little deeper with this. And that we'll find through the rest. So we need to be sure to, maintain ourselves in the Word as well. That's the other part of rest. So rest is not just sleeping, but rest is maintaining ourselves within the Word. And rest is also, when we're fasting and we're, think about fasting, because fasting detoxes our bodies. And I think I'm going to cover that later. But fasting detoxes our bodies. So that's why you'll experience headaches. You'll experience even a certain amount of a feeling of being lethargic to a certain degree. Like, you're like tired. So your body's not only detoxing and headaches, and it's detoxing from sugars. It's detoxing from, these different meats that you've had in there and that are just maybe sitting in there. Your body has to work a little bit harder to eat up to burn up fats, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm not getting as much, or all of depending on what type of fast that you're doing. If you're doing a 3-day fast of no food, no water, or a 1-day fast with no food and no water, or a Daniel fast. It's placing a demand on your body. Because even if you're doing fruits and vegetables, it's still placing a demand on your body, because your body is saying, wait, what's going on here? I'm not being fed like I was being fed. I'm not partaking of portions of food, right, like I was before. What's happened? And those create stresses in your body, and that stress can affect your immune system. That stress can affect your mind. The stress can affect your body, and it has different ways that it can manifest. People have been known to lose their hair, male or female, because of the level of stress that your body is going through, because you're not feeding it what you were feeding it before, or you're not feeding it at all. But not only are you not feeding it or feeding it what it wants and what it's been craving, it's got that stress, plus it's got your day-to-day stress. That is a lot for the body to take on. And then the body will start screaming in different ways, and different things begin to manifest within our bodies. So we have to take the rest part very seriously. It could affect our, like I said, our immune system. And, later on down the road, our bodies could develop autoimmune diseases, because it's just been bombarded and bombarded and bombarded with the stress of the fast and not eating, especially if you're fasting quite a bit. The stress of the day-to-day living. I'm not getting rest. You're not giving me a time of rest. All of these things really begin to affect the body, and the body does begin to talk back. And so we want to make sure that we are being diligent with our rest, our resting in the Word, and our rest in terms of sleeping, and our rest in terms of not doing strenuous exercises as well. It's not to say you can't go for a walk, but you, again, don't want to get into a strenuous routine, because, again, it's creating that stress on your body. And our bodies are wonderful machines that God has created, but we really need to take care of them. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And it's one of my favorite scriptures. And I liken it to, and I always equate it to, what? Rest. So we need to find time. Be still. What is he saying? When we're resting, we're being still. And when we're resting and being still, he says, what? Know me. Be still and know that I'm God. Knowing that he is God, we can find that in rest. I've in times past, as I've taught on prophetic words and on prophecy, and how to prophesy and different things like that. When it comes to prophesying, people get very nervous. And one of the things that I share with them is rest. Don't get nervous about it, because sometimes a person can work themselves up so much so that they don't get to hear God as clearly. Why? There's all this other talk going on. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. What does he want to say? We're bombarded with all of this. We can't be still. We can't know that he is God. We're going to have trouble hearing him. And then there's the anxiety of like, oh, how do I know that that's the word? Well, how do I know that that's right? Well, how do I know that that's accurate? How do I know that that's God? How do I know that that's not me? All of those are obstacles to us being able to hear God well. And so it's real important that we be still and know that he is God. Okay? Prayer. We need to, during our fast, and it's not just during the fast, it's a lifestyle for the believer, but during our fast, we have to maintain our, If we're praying a lot, then we can maintain. If we're hardly praying, then we need to increase our prayer life. 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says to pray without ceasing. And people often ask me, well, how do I pray without ceasing? And it doesn't always mean that you're on your knees. If you're on your way to work, you can pray. If you're in the kitchen cooking, you can pray. If you're at your desk, at your business, or you work for a company, whatever the case may be, you're sitting there, you can pray. And if you're in a cubicle by yourself, or an office by yourself, and you take a few minutes to pray, you can do that. But none of that should, how do I say this? None of those forms of praying without ceasing should take the place of the moments where we pray on our knees. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And they should not take precedence over spending that time and praying with God for more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. But those are ways that we can pray without ceasing. And that's the distinction that I'm trying to make. So we pray on our knees. We spend that quality time with God. But when we're done praying on our knees and spending that quality time with God, for example, at our house, on the mirror, I took a dry erase marker and I wrote some things on there. And I have these bright green index cards that I put there so that, I can look at the Word and meditate on the Word while I'm putting on makeup. As a matter of fact, sometimes I have to kind of like try to find a little space in between, to, look at myself in the mirror because I have things that I've written on there. And I've thought, well, maybe I should erase these and put some new ones on there. And then I went back and I'm like, it's not time to erase it yet. There's still some things in there. But anyway, with a dry erase marker, because that works better than red lipstick. And it works. Okay, let me stop. But anyway, dry erase marker is the way to go. Prayer during fasting is important too, because the enemy will try to distract us. Think about the value, significance, and the benefit of fasting. Don't you think that there's somebody out there or something out there that would want to keep you from gaining the maximum that God has for you to gain through that fast? And what better way than through distractions and doubts? This was really talking to me. I don't know about y'all, but it was talking to me. So the enemy is constantly looking for ways. So make sure that what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not giving him a way in. Show him the way out, but don't let him in. And we can do that by trying to minimize distractions. And when in doubt, just, okay, Lord, what do I do with this? I think this is a distraction. What do I do with this? Help me with this. But then when he starts helping you and the doors start closing, don't go crying to the Lord. It's just temporary. He needs you to be focused on him and to be meditating on him. Okay? And so he might shut it down, not permanently, although that can happen. It just depends what's going on. But I'm not talking about a permanent shutdown. I'm talking about a temporary shutdown where you're saying, I'm being distracted by this and it's keeping me from being effective in my prayer throughout this fast. Can you help me with this? Or what do I do with this? And just be prepared for the answer. And if he's shutting it down, it could be temporarily. Temporary. But you just want to focus. You want to take this time to really focus on the Lord. Focus on your relationship with him. Focus on what he wants to say. Take that time. In addition to your Sunday rest, whatever your Sabbath day may be, take an afternoon and I'm just going to spend this time with you, Lord. aside from the one day. Detox, we talked about your body detoxing and eliminating toxins, and how you might get headaches, and you might get irritable. You'll notice that your breath will change. And the reason for that is because of the toxins that are being released out of your body and being eliminated. All right. We talked about the fast list. The other thing I want to point out to us is that, breaking the fast. At the end of your fast, whatever kind of fast you're doing, the important thing is do not overeat. You get real hungry, and then suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I'm off the fast, let's celebrate. And then you go and you get a prime rib steak. Not cool. Again, you're sending your body into shock.
We can't do that.
Yes.
Right.
Because what you're doing, again, is you're shocking your system. You're shocking your body. And your body, you might think, well, nothing's happening now. Well, yeah, you're right. Maybe nothing's happening now. But guaranteed that if it's not happening now, it will happen later. Because the body, it's like Earth. Have you noticed all these seasonal changes and weather patterns and the temperature and earthquakes and disasters and all of that? Because the Earth has been receiving all of this sin, and the Earth is talking back. The Earth is vomiting up and saying, I can't take this anymore. Well, just like the Earth does that, our body, which is formed what God made us, but Adam was taken from the Earth. Our bodies begin to say the same thing. And the Earth hasn't been saying this. How do I explain this? The Earth hasn't, everything, let me put it this way, everything that's been taking place on the face of the Earth has been building up and building up and building up to these moments that we're living in now. And even the moments to come. Our bodies, same way. Our bodies, with every stress and every shock and, all this lack of sleep and whatnot, it begins to take a toll on our body. And although it may not have shown up yesterday and it's not showing up today, it has the potential of showing up tomorrow in so many different ways. And so we just don't want to overeat. We don't want to do large portions. We want to eat smaller portions. Soups are good to break a fast, especially if it's a fast where there's no food involved for like a day or 3 or, whatever the case may be. But just, the key is to begin to introduce foods slowly. But also, so here's a challenge. So maybe at the end of the fast, to break the fast, God is calling you to not go back to your former way of eating. So He might be calling you to give up something that you gave up for the fast as part of your fast. And later on, as you get ready to to close out your fast, He might say, yeah, but I want you to close it out, not as part of your fast, but close it out of your life. Get it out of your life. Get it out of I don't want this back in your body. And the fast is a perfect time to do that. It's a perfect time to listen to God, hear God, and know what He's saying that He wants us to leave behind. Not only spiritually, but physically, and even in terms of foods. So just be aware of that, because that's really, really important. And I'm really listening to that myself. I'm really listening to Him in terms of, what do you want to do after this fast? Because I feel like with the fast, it gives us a clean slate to start with. And so how long do we want to keep that slate clean? Do clean foods and, just different things like that. So again, I know I'm liking it. I'm being challenged to think about it that way. I'm being challenged to rest more. I'm being challenged to be very aware of what I'm putting into my body. And I know that there's a reason for that. Okay? So, what is fasting? Well, it's to purposely go without or to abstain from something that you desire on a physical level. In other words, what you're saying is, I'm going to purposely deprive myself and or my body of what it wants, what I want, what we want.
We hope you have enjoyed the Fire in You program. Please feel free to share this empowering message with family and friends, and visit us at our webpage at www.seedofnationsinternationalcenter.org. That's www.seedofnationsinternationalcenter.org. And please feel free to share your prayer request, testimony, or partner with us through your tax-deductible giving. Your donation will help us continue delivering inspiring messages to nations. You may also subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. To receive alerts of future Fire in You programs, just press the notification button. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For additional articles, please visit and subscribe to our blog at sunpropheticvoice.wordpress.com. That's sunpropheticvoice.wordpress.com. Until next time, friends, remember, the fire is in you.